What's up, everybody? How's it going? Damn, you're already asking questions about FTMO. We only just started. I don't know about FTMO rules. You're just gonna have to look at their rules page, I guess. So we've already had our pound news this morning, around or just over an hour ago. So that's kind of why we had this volatility quite early on in the day. But it does obviously make it more difficult for trading my trading hours 8 till 12, because it's meant that there's no high apart from this one here, which obviously we haven't broken yet. We've tried to break it, but we haven't broken it. So there's been no valid setup as of yet, which is fine. Oh, where my camera is actually doing this again. Which pairs you trade the most? I trade GBP USD the most. What's up, Dan? How's it going? How is it going? Not really exciting markets at the moment, to be honest. But obviously waiting to see if we can break this high here, and then that would give us a reason to trade, basically. Oh my god, this camera is so annoying. My camera keeps freezing. Good morning, Jack. How is it going? I'm using a Sony A7C, and it just keeps freezing. I don't know why. It doesn't even say it's overheating, which is usually why it would freeze, but now it's just freezing, just to freeze, it seems. So I got to keep an eye on that. You're looking for buys also. Yeah, if we break the high, then it's a good sign. But there's just so much uncertainty right now. We have a Trump speech at well, it said 1:30, but now I'm not too sure. It's not really giving an exact time now, so it might have changed. I think they had to turn around his plane and get a new plane to get to Switzerland, so that might have delayed proceedings, but I'm not sure. I think he'll be in Switzerland, so I guess he will probably be doing a speech from there, if he is doing one. And you know how that always shakes up the market. Good morning, everybody that's joining. How is everybody's week going so far? Any trades? Any setups? Can I increase my volume? That should probably be a bit better. Going good, very nice. Slow week for me. Yeah, it has been slow. Yesterday wasn't the most exciting day. But yeah, I guess we have many days left to see what happens. But there is a lot of news this week, which is what I've noticed, which could it will hopefully spice up the markets a little bit, so we can make some more profits. But at the moment, we're not really doing anything. We're not breaking highs. We're not breaking any lows. And obviously, this low, again, it's not a low for me to trade. It's just me saying that. But this is high. Obviously, I want to see the close above in this situation here. You are in USD JPY from 158.512. Let's take a look. 158.512. So I'm guessing you're shorting all the way up here. 157 target. I mean it's working well. You've broken structure this morning, which could be a good sign. Yeah, I mean, as long as we keep bearish structure from now on, then I don't see why it wouldn't work. It's probably more of a higher time frame trade, to be honest. If you're targeting all the way down here, another 88 pips. But yeah, if we keep this bearish structure, then I don't see why that wouldn't work. And obviously yesterday, I was looking. Where's yesterday? Here. When you have this big push up pre-London, usually there's no trade. And we had no trade yesterday. We didn't break the lows down here, obviously, because when the low is so far down, you kind of had to accept that it's probably not going to test the low. And this is the candle that started my trading hours. And there was just no setup, so there was no point streaming or no point bothering with that. But perhaps today we can change that. Why not look for sales? Because this low had already been tested pre-London. Whereas this high had been tested, it's been tested after 8, so in my trading hours, so we can still just break and close above because it's still an untested low. Well, it was before the trading hour, that is. So I'd still be happy to trade from it and see if we can get that break and close above. That would be great. Starting a thinking swing trading with just 40 euros, just to see how I react to real money and not for profit. I've done a demo and now I want to learn what the demo doesn't teach. Well, I wouldn't advise anybody start trading an account with 40 euros because it's too low to risk manage. You can't risk manage 40 euros. You can't risk 1%, you can't risk 2%, you can't risk probably up to 5%. The smallest loss you could probably have with swing trading is like £4 or £5, which is, or €4 or €5, which is around 10% of your account. And at that point, it's not even worth trading because, you know, you don't have the same opportunity you'd have on a slightly larger account. Let's say €400, where you can actually risk manage usually. But obviously, the bigger the stop loss, the harder it is to risk manage on a smaller account. Just because the lowest lot size is obviously 0.01. So if you're, let's say 10 pip stop loss is going to be $1 loss, and 30 pip stop loss, $3. So if you're trading with 40 euros, it's not great. Well, if you only have 40 euros to put into an account, it's probably worth waiting. Yeah, worth waiting and either making more money until you can comfortably trade with more money. But yeah. What's your view on CFDs versus futures? I'm thinking of moving to futures, just don't know whether I'm wasting my time. I know a lot of futures traders who have switched from CFDs and they seem to love it. Yeah, I feel like it's not really a waste of time if you've evaluated the pros and cons of both, then you should be fine. I only started this challenge last week and I haven't really had any setups. I haven't had as many setups as usual, so it's been quite slow. But that's fine, there's no rush. No rush to pass. Check gold. I know that gold has just been skyrocketing recently. Yeah. You know, ever since we gapped here, it's been on an absolutely insane push to the upside. I'm surprised we didn't go to 4.9. I guess that's the next area. But yeah, gold is just unbelievable. I remember trading it back in the day at like 1400. Yeah, I was trading gold around this time. When I did that account flip, it was around this time here. So around 1400 on gold, 1500. My first ever YouTube video. And yeah, imagine just buying and holding. It would just be unbelievable. I mean, that return would just be, yeah. And obviously the S&P has a good return too, but yeah, still crazy. And also the person asking about futures, if you look at the CFDs, pound, and then the futures, you know, it's identical. You can trade exactly the same. It just depends on the difference in rules, obviously, the difference in drawdown, the pricing's different. But I'm pretty sure you probably would be able to get some good deals on a small account to practice, perhaps. The exact day you introduce yourself with TradingView, I don't have a clue. I don't know when I first used TradingView, to be honest. I knew it would have been 2019, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know the exact date, unfortunately. It would be cool to know, but unfortunately I don't know. I don't even know the first day I started trading. I know dates like first accounts and things like that because I can just look at the emails and stuff, but that's the only way to look, really. Do you only trade London session? Yes, that is true. I do only trade London session. What's your view on sticking to 1 to 2 pairs? I find it difficult to watch more than 2. It gets kind of overwhelming, but I also struggle with FOMO because I don't always get setups and tempted to add pairs. I think that 1 to 2 pairs is probably a good bet. For some people, just having one pair is actually a downside to their trading, like you mentioned. Some people just aren't that good at focusing on one thing at a time and trying to master one thing. Some people are better off being good at a few different pairs rather than really good at one pair, and that would just fit their trading a lot better. So you have to figure out what type of trader you are first, because some people are better at just focusing on one thing at once. Like in business, some people are only good if they're working on one thing. That's the only thing they're working on. There are other people who like to diversify a bit and have multiple different pairs that they are trading, perhaps multiple different strategies across those pairs and things like that. But yeah, it depends on what you want as a trader. But I would always say 1 pair, 2 pairs, 3 pairs is probably the best way to go about it. And you kind of want to have them where they're not correlating. Uncorrelated pairs would be the best bet, because the downside of having them correlated is if you lose and they're correlated, you could lose double. Obviously, it gets to a point where you're better off just double risk on one pair. So if they're uncorrelated, then it's probably good. London session wasn't good yesterday. Yeah, I agree. London session was pretty terrible. But that's what happens after a big move. You know, when you get a big move like this, it's just what happens. When backtesting, how many trades or years do you like to have before taking it live? Again, this depends on the time frame and the strategy itself, because if I am trading a higher time frame strategy, you won't have as many trades, but you can have 5 years and have barely any trades, compared to a lower time frame strategy where in 2 years you could have a couple hundred trades. So the higher the time frame, you have to expect yourself to get less trades, which obviously means it will be quicker to backtest, so you can just do more years. And as long as you've noticed that you've traded in multiple different market conditions and you can see how it reacts to those conditions, then I feel like you're in a good standing. Because I can't say like you have to do 3 years, otherwise the strategy won't work. That's just not really how it works. I'd say 3 to 5 years is a good bet. You get, based on the last few years, you'll have a very different situation every single year based on conditions that we've had. And if you can see how it works in consolidation versus trailing markets and an election and Russia invasion, and you see all these different situations, how you actually trade it, then it's going to be a lot easier if you get interesting conditions in the live markets. So I remember trading the day that Russia invaded Ukraine, and that was crazy for trading gold. It just absolutely skyrocketed and then crashed all in one day. Whereas if you backtested that, or perhaps you haven't experienced volatility like that, then you wouldn't expect it. But I'd already experienced volatility like that when I was trading in 2020, where we had the lockdown and everything was going crazy. We were getting 500 pips per session on gold. What's my highest payout on a prop firm? 20 something thousand. The issue is though, if you're trading prop firms from the UK, if you get a 20k, let's say you're up 20k on your account, and you obviously are ready to withdraw, you go to withdraw and you lose 20%. So you're losing $4,000 already. And then that 16,000 is obviously USD. So now you're only at 11,900. Then let's say you have 20% tax on that. So you're losing around another 2,400. So you're left with only less than £10,000. So you make over $20,000, it looks great, but you're actually left with, just over £10,000. Or just under in some cases. It obviously depends on your tax bracket, depends if you're doing it for a company and everything like this. But you're not really left with a lot after all of the splits and exchanges, which is not fun. But I guess if we're trading in dollars, we get a lot more in the account, or we did before. Yeah, so you look, the options are usually £70,000 in an account or $100,000. If you're trading with £70,000, you're only trading with $94,000. Whereas if you're trading with $100,000, you're then getting £74,000. So taking the option of a 100k account, you're actually trading with more money for the same price usually, which is good. Are you in a trade right now? I'm not in any trades right now. I want to see this sort of thing, or this sort of thing, back into this area. You love my stuff? Thank you very much. That's good to hear. No, GBP accounts are the worst option. You want to trade with USD accounts. You get more. From all the professional prop traders, on average, how much prop firm capital they hold at one time, do you think? The best traders I know, when they're getting consistent payouts, they're only holding 2 or 3 different accounts, because the more accounts you have, the more you have to manage, the more difficult it is, especially if they are with different firms. The best people I know are usually trading a 200k account or a 400k account, and then they're taking other challenges at the same time. Why don't you like the look of AUD USD at the moment? I don't trade AUD USD, so I'm not even bothering looking at a pair I'm not going to trade. What's the sweet spot? I would say if you have a 200k account and then you make profit on that one, then you trade your other 200k account. That's always a good bet, because you don't want to be inactive really. Because let's say you only have one funded account, you make your profit, you think, oh, I'm just going to wait for my payout. But then you get to the stage where that payout might take a week because you had to request it. They have to then approve it. They then have to send you the money. You then have to wait for the new account details. While all of this is going on, you can't trade. So you're not making any profits. In that week, what happens if you have some winners? So what you want to do is have two accounts. One where you're trading first, you wait for the payout. As soon as you've made your profit and you're done, you then switch to the next account that you start trading. And then when that one's done, you trade back on the other account. So it should be ready at that point. So you're going through the different accounts, trying to maximize your profits, which, yeah. Just leave the UK, 20% tax. The majority of countries have 20% plus in tax. So how many pairs you look at? One. Pair you're seeing is the only pair that I trade. Very simple. GBP USD is the only pair. Funding pips slipped me 4% because I had consecutive payouts. What do you mean they slipped you? Is that because you had bad conditions? Also, I don't know why the YouTube bot thing deletes messages if you use caps. I need to work out how to change it. Anytime anyone sends a message with caps lock, it just removes their message. But I don't remember setting any of that up. The lows have already been tested. They've already been tested pre 8 a.m. So there's no reason for me to trade from those levels. If we'd been untested like this point, so like here, that high at the moment is untested, whereas the low's already tested. And obviously this is when my trading hours started. But then obviously nothing's changed. We're still untested at the highs, but the lows have already been tested, so there's no point trading. Explain why you aren't looking at short. There you go. Some words need to be sent in caps. Well, YouTube doesn't seem to allow it. See if I can change it. Are you backtesting today? Potentially. Let me see. Excessive caps. There we go. It should work now. What are you looking to get? I am looking for long positions. If we break that high, obviously. And we will see if that happens. So we will see. Why have I stopped trading gold? Gold just doesn't really fit my trading style, to be honest. It used to fit my trading style, but at the moment it just doesn't. Why are you wearing headphones if you're not listening to music? Because it's silent. And if it's silent, it's easier to speak to nobody. If you imagine right now, I'm sat here speaking and it's silent. But I feel like it's just nicer speaking when it's noise cancelling. I don't know how to explain it. If you haven't filmed videos before, it wouldn't make sense. But it's just nicer. Try AUD/USD. Again, absolutely nothing. UJ, we've broken the lows, but again, nothing. GJ. See, everything seems to be trending at the moment. Damn, that's a nice break there with GBP CAD. Very nice. I love the simplicity of the strategy, but it's just too difficult to execute while at work. I mean, that makes sense. I think every strategy that's not on the super high time frames is difficult to execute when you're at work. What's the longest period of time that you went through without taking a trade or without seeing a setup? I'm not too sure, to be honest. I have traded for maybe a week or so. Because I'm trading a 15-minute time frame, it doesn't really go that long without seeing a setup. The time I went a long time was when I was swing trading. I'd have like 2 weeks without a setup, but that's because I was only taking the best possible setups. Whereas if you're just taking every setup that fits the plan, then usually you will have a trade or two per week. That's kind of what I've seen anyway from my data. Can we collab? I don't do any collabs, as you probably noticed from my channel. Do I look at the higher time frames? I do not. I need to work out how to. Yeah, I need to fix the bot because it keeps deleting so many messages. There we go. Now it should be fixed. No, I didn't trade yesterday because I knew there was going to be no setup. When this candle opened, we immediately pushed to the upside like this. I knew there's no chance of breaking this low. And when you have a push like this, 40 plus pips right before the session, it makes it difficult if you are trading the breaks of the structure like I've been trading. But if you are, I wouldn't say January is notoriously slow, because I know last year I had a decent January. But usually the first week or so, it's no point trading the first week of January, especially with New Year and everything. But the rest of January I feel like it's a bit better. But obviously every strategy is different. Some are going to be more profitable than others, and some are going to get more activity than others. No point trading the whole of January. Yeah, I mean at the start it seems pretty boring. We don't really get many moves compared to let's say the start of February or the start of March. Do you still do swing trading? I don't. Swing trading just didn't really fit how I wanted to trade. I tested it out for a while, but it just didn't really fit, to be honest. The main benefit I was trying to see was if I had to put in very little amount of hours into the trading, would it be beneficial or not? Again, that was the main benefit, but the downside was when I actually had to be trading. With swing trading, the setup can come at any time. Whereas with my intraday trading, I know when my potential setups are going to actually happen. Whereas I just have to set an alert on a swing trading. Perhaps it hits when I'm asleep, or perhaps it hits when I'm doing something, and I wouldn't be able to enter the trade. And if that's your only trade for the next 2 weeks, then you've missed out on 2 weeks worth of profits and waiting. But the positives just didn't really outweigh the negatives. I ended up missing setups, missing good wins. And then you get the next trade and it's a loss, and you should be in profit, but you're not. Just situations like that, to be honest, which made me want to just stick to intraday trading for now. I do think that with swing trading, you can be a lot more selective with the setups you are taking. But again, the positives just weren't really there. And I enjoy trading in the morning, one session, and it just means after this I know I'm done for the day. After we've got 3 hours left of the time frame that I trade in, and if we don't get a setup in that time, that's fine. I don't have to think about trading for the rest of the day. Perhaps I'll obviously still do backtesting and other things to hopefully improve, but overall it's a lot better, in my opinion, to trade with intraday. Have you ever considered adding a consolidation strategy to your plan so you have setups in all conditions? Well, the thing with consolidation is you only know you're in consolidation when you're in consolidation. It's usually too late at that point. So a lot of people try and trade consolidation. Like they'll see it bouncing from high to low, and it gets to the low again, they'll buy to try and trade it to the high. But that's when it breaks structure. So you never know how long consolidation is going to last. And I feel like the risk of trying to trade, buys and sells, you're better off just waiting, to be honest. What's the longest I've held a trade? I mean, I can quickly check my stats quickly. So I think my longest trade, swing trading, from what I can see, was 6 days. So I was in the trade for 6 days, which is brutal. And the obviously what you need to think about is you have swaps being added on every single day. So the fees are adding up every single day you're in a trade. I'm not sure what my longest intraday trade was, to be honest. But usually I'm done within the day. Hi, I'm new here. Welcome to the stream. Am I sharing my model for free? Go to the mentorship. The mentorship is linktrading.com, and you'll be able to learn exactly how I do everything. Do I trust QT? I haven't had a payout from them. I haven't traded funded accounts with them, so I can't say, unfortunately. Which prop firm am I trading with? I'm currently trading with E8 markets, and they only have one step now, which I've never traded a one step account before. So we will see how that goes. Do you break even your trades? I don't go break even on any trades. And that's because I just don't think it's the most beneficial way of trading, to be honest. From my data, I have tested break even, and it just isn't as profitable. It will be more profitable in some periods, but then other periods I'll miss out on a lot of my winning trades. And overall, it ended up not being profitable. Did I get the 500k account? No, I only trade really with 100k or 200k accounts. Mainly because, in my opinion, it's the most cost-effective way of trading with prop firms. You're waiting for that up close candle to break? Yeah, I'm waiting for this high here to break, to be honest. And if we don't get that, then there'll probably be no trades. So I guess we'll see if that happens. You entered short Euro USD at 1.17249. That's a pretty good entry. It's a very good entry on that wick there. Very nice. You're in decent profits. When it breaks through New York, will you let it go? If I'm looking to trade from a high and then it breaks through New York, then I just won't trade. Very, very simple. I only trade in London from 8 till 12. And if it doesn't happen in 8 till 12, then I just close the charts and go about my day, basically. You feel like closing your shorts because prices are moving? Well, you should only close your shorts if your strategy says this trade is no longer valid and I shouldn't be in the trade any longer. That's the only reason that you should close any positions. If it just isn't moving enough for you, then that's probably not a valid reason to close a trade, in my opinion. You just need to trade your plan. Trade the plan, and then it doesn't matter if you win or lose, because it will work out long term. That's what you need to realize. Okay, so we're still pushing bearish here, which is fine. It's fine. Is there red news today? We had red news this morning. It's not showing it, but we had it this morning, and we have a Trump speech which was supposed to happen at 1:30, but I'm not sure when it's happening now. Then we have an ECB speech. So these will obviously cause some uncertainty. You know, all these leaders are together and who knows what they'll say. So should be interesting. I think Trump, his plane had to go back to DC for an electrical issue or something. So I'm not sure if he's arrived in Switzerland yet to make a speech in a few hours' time. But I guess we will see about that. And this speech is probably going to go ahead as usual. The Trump speech could be wild. It probably will be. You know, he always likes to stir the markets up. Yeah, I know there's the World Economic Forum on today. What's up, Mr. AC? We have full porting GU longs, obviously. Have you taken this sell? I have not. I wanted to break the highs and then buy, but we clearly didn't get that. Trump hasn't arrived yet. Well, you can let me know when he does. I don't know if... I think they were changing his aeroplane or something, but I'm not sure. Not sure when that is going to happen. You could probably see on Twitter anyway. Day trading scanners. I'm not sure what you mean by that, to be honest. I don't know what a day trading scanner is. Big fan, been a subscriber out of Canada for years. I appreciate that. Canada is it's a great place. It's a great place. We are absolutely melting now. Absolutely melting. Is the low at 3427 invalid? I don't know which low you're on about, to be honest. The ads every 5 minutes are annoying. Yeah, I don't actually set when it plays ads, by the way. It just does it by itself. I have no option to say how often ads are shown. Thanks for the hard work in this channel, and even more so for your honest videos. I'm just crashing, going to bed. My Euro USD trade is looking nice. Much love and happy trading, everyone. Isn't it a bit late to be going to bed in Canada? What is it, 4 a.m. for you? 4:30 a.m.? Yeah, I appreciate the kind words. 8 p.m. on the 20th. 8 p.m. This low here. That's way too far back for me to trade from. 2 a.m. Nice, nice. Perhaps I was thinking of Toronto time or something like that. I always thought Canada was 5 hours behind, or perhaps it's just one part of it. Did you name link trading after your love of Links Africa? I mean, no, but that's probably a valid name, to be honest. I should open a link trading Africa division now because of that. I mean, that's a good idea. I don't know why I didn't even think of that, to be honest. Just a quick one. In your analysis, do you count candle wicks as a valid breaker structure or full body closure? It has to be a full body closure because, you know, wicks like this, if you're counting this as a breaker structure, then what structure did it break? You know, we closed very, very, obviously you can say bearish, but it's I wouldn't say it closed fully bearish. We closed bullish for a bearish candle, if that makes sense. And this obviously did not break structure. Whereas if you're looking at just bodies, you can see that none of these broke structure apart from this break here. This break broke structure because we closed fully below with a body. This body closed below, so that's what I would see as a breaker structure. What's my thoughts on the dollar index? I don't really care about the dollar index, to be honest, because yeah, I just don't really see the point. I know people use it for correlation and things like that, but yeah, I don't really use it. Still expecting buys as long as price doesn't close below 1.341. I mean, that is quite a long way down. And it's probably too far gone now for price to now come up and break this high. So I'm not really expecting to get any trades today, to be honest. But that's fine. That's fine. You know, it seems to happen every day now. Not getting these good setups. Ever tested your strategy on the 10-minute time frame? I have not. I've only tested 15, 30 in an hour. If I was starting out trying to build capital, would I trade the same strategy? Of course, of course. Because, you know, the strategy, if its returns aren't high enough for you or things like that, you can just adjust the risk to be honest, because adjusting your risk just makes the strategy tailored to you as a trader. Some people like more risk, some people like less risk. And yeah, if you like to risk 2% per trade, or you're comfortable with a 10-15% drawdown, perhaps you can just double your risk every year based on your annual average drawdown. What do I think about gold? I mean, I'm not trading gold, so I don't really have an opinion, but it's always a bad idea to bet against gold. It's probably the easiest way to put it, just based on historical results. It seems to always be quite resilient, and as you've seen, it just does not stop going up. Like it will go down for a while, and then it will just continue going up. So yeah, we didn't even fill our massive gap here. We just went straight pushing to the upside. So honestly, wouldn't surprise me if we just kept going. Three, four, 345. I don't really know what level you're talking about, to be honest, because all of these lows had already been tested. Is gold a safe haven? Definitely. People do see gold as a massive safe haven, because yeah, it's just gold, isn't it? It's limited. You can't make more gold. Obviously, if there's a finite supply of something, it's going to have more value. Same as people give the reasoning for Bitcoin, obviously. I mean, I don't really agree about Bitcoin being this new future currency, but gold's always been a good currency. But the prices are just astronomical for an ounce of gold, as you can see. You know, like 1 kilo of gold is just unbelievable prices. Let's see how much it is. Yeah, 1 kilo is around £115,000 for 1 kilo. which is just crazy. It's crazy to think about. Did I trade yesterday? I did not trade yesterday. There were no setups for me. Same as today. Your 5-minute breakout strategy, surely there must be more confidences besides breaking out of a range. No, that's literally it. I try and make my trading as simple as possible. And when people say, oh, what else do you do? It kind of reinforces the fact that people think that a strategy can't be profitable if it's only got one confluence. Or you could say two confluences. But this is why people fail in trading. They're afraid of making something simple because they feel like there needs to be something more here. So they don't do it. They just add confluences just for the sake of it, really. Yeah, there's no point really trying to trade when we're just absolutely melting. Use swing FTMO or the standard one. If I was trading FTMO now, I'd probably just choose the swing one. It's just better for rules. Like, you never have to think about the rules because you can basically do anything, especially with news. If you accidentally hold through news, I think you're just completely fine. Whereas if you do that on the normal account, then you don't get any of the profits you make, which should not be a great situation. You tried the 5-minute breakout on gold for 150 trades and it was not profitable. Well, yeah, not every strategy is going to be profitable on every pair. You got stopped out? What trade were you taking? I don't see how you would have been stopped out unless you bought midway through. You just hit TP, very nice. Very nice. You're looking for buys as price just broke a significant low. Why are you buying if price broke a low? In my mind, if price is breaking a low, then that's a good sign for me. Well, if it works for you, then that's great, but that kind of goes against normal trading logic, but that's fine. How is it easy to pass phase 1 of 8% and to then fail phase 2 of 4%? The reason people struggle with phase 2 is because they have already passed phase 1 to make more profit. So in their mind, they've done the hard part. The hard part for them is more profit to actually make. So once they pass phase 1, they've done the hard part in their mind, so they kind of relax a bit. And when they relax, they are obviously becoming complacent and they can easily make mistakes. They feel like they are the best trader in the world, and then they make the mistakes on the phase 2, which means that they pass phase 1 easily because they're trading their plan, and then it goes very differently on phase 2. Why was I looking for longs? Well, I was only looking to see longs if price broke above this high here. If we didn't break above the high, then there's no trade for me. I'm not looking for longs down here. I'm only looking for longs if price has broken the high. But there was no untested high for me to trade short from, and my strategy requires that. So if it requires that and that doesn't happen, then there's going to be no trade for me. Also, we can actually see Mr. Trump. You can see Air Force One. So will he be in Switzerland and making a speech at 1:30? I guess we'll see. Some 2 nice US Air Force planes here. Another one here. So we will see if he makes his speech in Switzerland. Because obviously they removed the time from his speech. So, if you are looking to trade, make sure you get the timings right. If you are trading and then there is just suddenly a speech that you didn't really prepare for, just make sure you are definitely keeping up with the news, especially when there are these in-person events, when obviously things could be delayed slightly. You don't want to blow an account just because of that, Blew my account last year trading GU. I can't touch it again. I don't really think that's a good way to look at it, to be honest, because you could have just made a mistake. You probably would have made the same mistake and blown an account if you were trading gold or EU. it wasn't the pair's fault that you blew your account. It's your fault. So blaming the pair probably isn't the best way to improve from that situation. That's just how I see it. I might as well just do some backtesting while we are getting no setups. Got to love a bit of backtesting. It's always good fun. Do you like how Matt Gray trades? I don't know exactly how he trades, to be honest, but it works for him, so that's amazing. As long as it works, that's all that really matters. Oh, let's change the time frame. There we go. For those who haven't seen any of the backtesting videos, this might seem pretty random, but I'm literally just testing a new 5-minute strategy so far, and it's something I made up completely randomly. So if it works, it'll be great. If it doesn't work, then it doesn't really matter. I feel like it's just good to test things to see if they work. And obviously this isn't a pair I'm usually trading. Obviously this was caused by news, so we're not going to trade from that. My typical pair is not EU. My typical pair is GU. Which is the pair that I will usually be trading. I also don't like trading these big pushes that break the structure. So obviously GU, we're just not getting anything, we're just melting to the downside, so it's not really much for me to do on that pair. So we can short here, but we also have to remember that there's NFP at 130, so we'll have to trade and close before that. Oh, well, close the trade for us. Very nice. We have the high there, we have the low here. Which one will break? If either of them will break. Okay, we have broken the high. Very, very low momentum. Low volume. All of this just consolidation. Yeah, we're just testing back into consolidation. But again, like someone was saying earlier, why don't you create a strategy that trades in consolidation? This is the reason why. So obviously you're seeing price go between these two levels, down, up, down, up, down, up. Then if it gets to here, okay, you've seen you're in consolidation now, you're going to look to sell. You go to look to sell, oh, we break through and go to the upside. And then you go back into the consolidation, so perhaps you're like, oh, I'm ready to buy now. And then price could just melt through the zone. Obviously, yeah, then we melt down through the zone. So now you try to trade consolidation in both directions and it's lost both times. because by the time you realize you're in the consolidation, usually it's a bit too late. In most cases, that is. That is not the line. There's the line. There we go. Okay, break to the downside. 10 pip, 20 pip. Camera is lagging. Yeah, this camera is so stupid. See, now it's not even turning on. Might have to go to the backup camera here. There we go, the backup camera is on again. Oh God. That'll do for now. How many years have I backtested with the strategy so far? I think this is the 9th month that we've actually tested, so we haven't even done a full year yet. So we have a few months left before we see the first year's results. Which should be quite interesting. September's not going too well so far. Yeah, it's hard to identify consolidation. I guess one way could be to look at the, perhaps you have lower volume coming in, and that's always a good way to see, because obviously if there's low volume, then you're not going to be trending usually. Okay, we have news there. CG is still melting, typical. This is the low here. Yeah, September's been absolutely terrible so far. Say so far because who knows what will happen. Could have an amazing streak. But you notice in September, every single break has been with a lot of volume. And we're breaking and then coming back into the zone again every time, you see? Which is fine. It's fine. How can a strategy be too mechanical? That doesn't really make sense. Now my FX replay is frozen. Great. Give a live trade. We're going to trade live if there's no setups. That'd be a very silly thing to do. high and the low. This high is actually untested here. $130. So we got a little bit of time in this trade. Okay, now we have to close. Yeah, everything's in the market has been quite boring in the past few weeks. That's why we haven't had any live trades. So it doesn't matter where price is on a higher time frame. I've never once taken that into consideration, and I don't think that really matters. You can trade the 5 minute and be profitable without any higher time frame bias. You can trade the 15 and be profitable without any higher time frame bias. You can trade the 4 hour without looking at the daily. It doesn't matter what a time frame higher than the one you're trading is doing. If you're trying to catch 10 pip, 20 pip moves, it doesn't matter what the 4 hour is doing. Also, this is the worst month we've had for this strategy. We're averaging around 2 to 3% per month. And now it's actually, there's news after this, so I'm not going to trade this. Again, more news. Jesus. What's going on this month? Can we actually get a win this month? I mean, this is unbelievable. But this is what's good to test. If this strategy was just instantly profitable, everything was perfect, then it would be a bit like, ooh, this is a bit crazy. But having bad periods, there's news there, no trade, is it's actually, yes, it's normal. So we're near the end of the month now, so we will be able to see what is going on. Don't know why there's a massive gap there. Must just be an error. Where's the live trade MT5? We haven't had any setups, so there have been no trades. If there were setups, then we would have had trades. It's very simple. Higher time frames have more impact. Well, of course the higher time frame has more impact, but on the higher time frame, you're also trading bigger moves. Whereas if you're only trading, like if you look at the 4 hour time frame, and you think my whole trading session is one 4 hour candle, whereas I can have multiple different breakthrough structures, I can have a full trade within one 4 hour candle. So where that 4 hour candle is does not matter to me in the slightest, to be honest. I couldn't even care less what the 4 hour is doing. Doesn't matter at all. Yeah, September's an absolutely brutal. But we're still in profit. But this is not a good sign. If a strategy does 1 to 4 max, I want to be taking 1 to 3 at max. I mean, to be honest, it doesn't really matter what people say. Because people's opinions are not going to pay your bills. They're not going to trade for you. Yeah, this is the issue. So we will see. So overall, it was going well. Keyword on the was. You know, during this period, it wasn't too bad. But I guess that's life. That's the thing about testing. So I don't think we are going to be getting any trades. As you see, we're just melting to the downside. So let me just see. Someone pay your bills. So if we are not going to get any setups, there's no point sitting here and watching, to be honest. So make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel so you don't miss out on any future live streams. And do not take any trades unnecessarily today. Why didn't I journal my trades when I'm backtesting? You don't have to journal trades if you're backtesting. So yeah, be sure to subscribe, guys. Do not miss out on any future videos, any future lives. And hopefully tomorrow we can get a profitable trading day. We haven't really had any setups this week. We had one that missed the entry. We had yesterday where we didn't have any setups. So hopefully tomorrow we can get some. So I'll catch you guys tomorrow for hopefully a profitable trading session.